The general rule of litigation is reactive. You usually cannot step inside a courtroom until someone has actually broken a contract, caused damage, or violated a right. Think of a legal conflict as a timeline divided by a sharp line. On the left side, a contract is signed, or a new law is passed. Everything is quiet. On the right side, the line is crossed. A breach or a violation occurs. Once that threshold is crossed, the situation erupts. You are immediately dealing with ordinary civil actions, demands for damages, or even potential jail time. You are operating in the damage control zone. But let's rewind. What happens if the wording of that contract or law is ambiguous? You do not want to cross the line to find out what it means, because the penalty for guessing wrong is a lawsuit. This is where Rule 63, Declaratory Relief, operates. It is a procedural tool engineered strictly for the gray area on the left side of the timeline, before any rule has been broken. It allows a citizen to approach a judge and ask for a binding interpretation of a document or a statute. You are asking the court to map out your legal rights and duties so you can act safely, preempting a legal disaster. Courts, however, do not exist to give free legal advice. To prevent judges from issuing hypothetical opinions, Rule 63 enforces a rigid set of requirements, dictating exactly who must be involved and what can be asked. Declaratory relief is the mechanism for securing judicial certainty. It allows parties to understand their legal footing without requiring them to operate at their own peril first. To build a valid Rule 63 petition, we start with jurisdiction. Where does this case belong? The answer is the regional trial court. The regional trial court holds exclusive original jurisdiction over these preemptive petitions. To determine if your situation qualifies, we use the CROWN framework. C is for contracts or statutes. R is regional trial court jurisdiction. O includes other remedies. W means without a breach occurring yet, and N requires that it needs its construction or validity checked. Consider a businessman importing a specific chemical. A newly passed environmental statute is vague, and he isn't sure if his product is now classified as illegal. Instead of importing the chemical and risking jail time if he interprets the law incorrectly, he files a petition for declaratory relief. He asks the judge to clarify the statute's exact coverage regarding his shipment, securing an answer entirely before any violation occurs. Rule 63 also serves as the procedural home for similar preemptive remedies. This includes reforming a contract, quieting title to clear up fake claims on land, and consolidating ownership. Even if you meet all criteria, Section 5 grants the judge a release valve. The court can reject a standard declaratory relief petition outright. The parameters of this rejection power are defined by the DISC criteria. D is discretionary power to refuse. I limits this to instrument or statute interpretation only. S dictates the decision should terminate the controversy. And C means the court may dismiss motu proprio. Imagine a landlord filing for declaratory relief to determine if they can legally evict a tenant based on a disputed lease clause. However, the lease in question naturally expires in 2 weeks anyway. The judge dismisses the case motu proprio. Issuing a ruling serves no practical purpose. The court fiercely guards its time. Rule 63 is strictly reserved for scenarios where judicial interpretation will actively extinguish a looming real-world controversy. Once jurisdiction is established, the petition must pull in the correct parties. We expand our flowchart to map exactly who must be invited to this preemptive process. Due process dictates a strict boundary. Courts cannot legally bind someone never invited to the lawsuit. Section 2 codifies this rule for private parties using a literal requirement. All ALL, all interested persons must be joined. Left-out parties are not bound, and the legal rights of non-parties remain entirely intact. Let's apply this to 3 siblings arguing over the interpretation of a specific clause in their late father's will. Sibling A files a petition to secure a formal interpretation, naming sibling B as a respondent, but intentionally excluding sibling C from the lawsuit. The court will issue its interpretation, but that ruling only controls the relationship between A and B. Because sibling C was excluded, their legal rights remain unaffected, leaving them completely free to challenge the will later. Leaving out a key party doesn't get the case thrown out, but it fatally undermines the entire point of the exercise. You are left with a partial interpretation and a wildcard still in play, destroying the certainty Rule 63 was designed to provide. The rules escalate when the document in question is a government regulation instead of a private contract. Here, our flowchart splits based on the state actor involved. If challenging a national statute or executive order, we follow the SOLGEN protocol. When a statute's validity is questioned, obligatory notice is required. The law's validity means the government has a right to be heard. This includes executive orders for national issues. You must notify the Solicitor General. If a private hospital files for declaratory relief claiming a new Department of Health administrative order violates their corporate rights, they must formally serve notice to the Office of the Solicitor General so the government can defend its policy in court. If the contested rule is a municipal or barangay policy, we shift to the local pathway using the LOCAL rule. The local attorney is notified. The ordinance's validity is the issue, and the local government is the respondent. They are always entitled to be heard. For example, if a Tricycle Drivers Association questions the mechanics of a new Makati City terminal fee ordinance, they notify the Makati City legal officer. But there is a crucial caveat. What if that local transport conflict escalates into a constitutional rights issue? If the drivers argue that the local ordinance is unconstitutional, say it violates the Equal Protection Clause, the rules require notifying both the local legal officer and the Solicitor General. The state is an indispensable party in defending its own rules. Failing to notify the correct level of government strips them of their right to be heard, rendering the entire preemptive challenge procedurally defective. There is a practical problem with declaratory relief. Securing a judgment takes time, and business cannot always wait for a court to issue its interpretation. What happens if, while the judge is still deciding the case, someone loses patience and actually violates the contract or breaks the law? Section 6 anticipates this exact scenario, providing a failsafe captured by the BREAK framework. If a breach occurs, rules allow automatic conversion. This eliminates the need to file a new case. Amended pleadings are allowed, which keeps the case moving as an ordinary action. Two business partners might file a Rule 63 petition to check if a non-compete clause in their agreement is legally valid. If one partner goes ahead and opens a directly competing business before the judge rules, the case doesn't get thrown out. It instantly converts into an ordinary civil lawsuit for breach of contract. Section 6 acts as a procedural shock absorber. It recognizes that reality moves faster than litigation, seamlessly transforming a preemptive question into an active lawsuit for damages without wasting the court's prior work. Rule 63 is a highly structured machine. A petition must satisfy Crown jurisdiction at the regional trial court, then survive the DISC discretionary filter. This entire system rests on the foundational timeline, equipped with the break conversion failsafe if preemptive peace collapses into dispute. Rule 63 is a rigid, interconnected system for stabilizing rights, moving beyond mere judicial advice into the realm of binding certainty. Success relies on two strict pillars: filing the petition firmly before any breach occurs, and securing absolute completeness in joining private parties and notifying state actors. When executed correctly, this procedure extracts parties from the trap of guessing what a law or contract means. Mastering Rule 63 empowers practitioners to map the boundaries of the law ahead of time. It replaces the threat of the unknown with definitive judicial certainty, allowing businesses and individuals to move forward safely.